to make some videos about things that are easy to do at home, and one of those things is growing herbs and other plants too. Here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about seeds, the containers they grow in, light, water, companion plants, things that grow together well, and some tips and advice. So here we go. Let's talk about seeds. Where should I get my seeds? You can order them online. You can get them at the grocery store, which is really easy, or you can get them at a garden center. They'll have lots of varieties that are available now. What kind of seeds should I be buying? Organic is best because they haven't been grown with any pesticides, and that's much better for you. And then it's all about timing. If you're going to plant by seed, you need to get started now. This is the time because you want to get those seeds outdoors when there's no risk of frost anymore and the plants can be safe. So let's get started. So I've got my seeds. These are basil seeds that I'm going to show you how to plant today. And the pot that we're going to put them in is a pretty standard 4-inch plastic pot that you can get at the garden center. It has holes on the bottom, which is super important so the water has somewhere to go. The other thing is you want a plant pot that's not expensive, and these are really not expensive at all, but it's also deep enough so that the roots have somewhere to spread out when the plant gets bigger and you want to take it outside. So the earth I'm going to use today comes in a big bag. It's special earth that's made and formulated for herbs and vegetables. It's too big to handle, so I like to put it into a smaller bowl and use a shovel, which makes it much easier for me to make these little pots and use a shovel to help me. I don't have to get my hands quite as dirty. So let's get the seeds into this pot. We're going to take our shovel. And we start by taking a small scoopful of this earth and filling the bottom of the pot, not very high. We're only taking about 1/4 of the pot to fill up right now and just pressing it down lightly with the earth. What that does is it gives it a solid base. Then you continue filling up your pot. In this case, I'm going to fill it up just to the line that you see. It's almost like a natural guideline for me. So right up to this line here. So I'm filling up my pot and just very lightly pressing down the earth. You don't want to be pressing it really hard because then that makes it hard for the seeds to push up through, but just lightly compacting it. So I'm doing that right up to the line that I showed you a second ago. One more scoop should do it. Shake it down and just press it lightly. Okay, so it's ready for seeds. Now to make it easier, because you've got lots of seeds in this packet, I'm going to pour off just about what I need into this little bowl here. This is a lot of seeds, probably way more than you're going to need, but we're going to spread them all over the surface of that earth because later on, when they start to come up, we're going to thin those out. That means take a few plants out so that the others can be stronger. And I'm just tapping the seeds all over the top of the surface. You can even see them if you look closely where they are. Okay, I'm taking my finger and just patting down the seeds very, very lightly so that they're pressed into the earth. You don't have to push hard. Next step is you want to give them a little bit of water just to get them started. So I'm spraying the seeds lightly, and the reason I'm spraying them is they don't get moved around. If you water them down, they're going to sink really down to the bottom of the pot, which is not what you want because these seeds like to be close to the top. Just water them a little so that you can see that the top of the earth is wet, and now it's time to cover them up. So with the rest of my earth, sprinkle it over the top, a little bit more, and leave a little room from the top of your pot. You don't want it to go right up to the top because water will make it sink down eventually anyways. But just below the surface of your pot, press it down lightly with your finger. So you don't want to compact the soil too much because then the seeds have trouble coming through. Once they're all covered, give them another little spray. To wet the surface. And here's the next trick. I'm going to fill up, this plastic tray just comes from lettuce or whatever I bought from the grocery store. I'm putting a bit of water that has a little bit of fertilizer in it, just a drop or two of fertilizer. And I'm going to set my pot into that water to let it drink up the water from the bottom. That way I know that the whole pot will be getting enough water that's filled with fertilizer that will help it grow even better. And then that's all you have to do with planting, just get it into the light, which is next. So my package tells me that this basil needs full sun. And it's really important to read what it says on the back of that package, because that's going to tell you everything that plant really needs to grow well. Full sun means you want to take it to the brightest, sunniest, warmest spot in your home, whether it's on a window or in front of a door, a patio door, wherever that may be. You want to take it where it can get the most light that isn't going to be super, super strong light, which isn't so good, but lots of bright light. And one that a place where it's warm all morning or an afternoon long. If you don't have a place in your home that's really sunny and warm, or a window that doesn't have enough light, you can still try to grow this plant with artificial light. I have just a straight up tensor lamp that I have hanging around the house that will work if you keep it on for at least 8 hours a day. So you want to get pretty close to that plant. Make sure that that's really, really close so that the plant not only gets the light, but it gets the warmth. And keep that lamp on for at least 8 hours a day, or until you go to bed at night, and then shut it off. And of course, when you get up in the morning, put the light back on. And you're going to keep doing that every day until you start to see little babies start to come up from the earth. So I have a basil plant that right here that I planted about 4 or 6 weeks ago, and you can see it's gotten pretty tall already. This plant I'm hoping to be able to take outside and put in my garden. But if you don't have a garden outside and you're going to continue to keep it in your house, one thing you might want to think about doing is thinning out the plant a little bit so that the plants that remain behind are going to be big and tall and strong. So that means you have to sacrifice a couple of the smaller plants so that the bigger plants will have more room to grow. And that means just taking one of the small plants like this, right below the leaves, and pulling it out. And I know everybody's going to go, I don't want to do that, but you need to do it because it makes the plant grow much better. And that you will throw away. And you continue to thin that out so that there are not too many left, but not bare. So whatever remains will be nice and strong. Like I said, this plant is about 4 or 5 weeks old, and it's actually ready for me to start fertilizing it, which means giving it more vitamins. There are many kinds of fertilizers that you can get with many different formula bases, but we're not going to get too complicated. You want something that's just going to give your vitamin boost to your plant. You can buy it in granular form. I got this at the growing center, and it's basically just powdery stuff that I put into the water that I water the plants with. Or this, which is also an organic liquid fertilizer that I get from a supplier, and I add that to my water also. And I do that about once every week so that the plants get a really good solid vitamin boost. And you're going to do that every week until you either put them outside if you're doing that, or if you're keeping them indoors, you want to keep them regularly fertilized every week. Let's talk about herbs that like to grow together and some that don't like to grow together, but actually most herbs are pretty happy growing together. Basil, which we've been planting today, It's a plant that loves to be next to tomatoes. So if you're going to plant this outside, you can be rest assured it will be very happy next to your tomatoes, whether it's in the same garden or in a plant pot of its own, but near the tomatoes. It also helps to keep away bugs because of its yummy smell, but it's a plant that really is happy beside a tomato plant. Most herb plants are happy to be grown together. So my last little tip for you is be patient. Gardens take a while to grow. If it doesn't work the first time, try it again. No harm done. All gardens have failures, and the best thing is just to remember what you did so that you can not repeat it the next time. But don't be afraid to try again. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll be back when I'll talk about other plants next time.